Okay, so where were we in that cry fest? I need a drink of water, y'all. So this is one of my favorite mugs. Belonged to my mom. My sister gave it to me. She gave it to my mom, and I fell in love with it while my mom was sick, and I would be over at her house helping out. And so anyway, my sister gave it to me, and I love it very much. There's all kinds of cute little doodles on it. So back to my story. So, which I do want to share is one of hope. I do look at my life experiences as teachers. They have informed me in so many ways. And so I do lead a life that is, again, is not perfect. I have sad things going on all the time. As far as I know, these are not things that I'm causing to happen. These are just events that just take place in other people's lives, and my heart feels very tender towards those people or these things, and so I knit and I yoga, and I journal. I try to stay up to date with my feelings and the thoughts that I'm having, and really look at those and be very aware of my triggers. I do have triggers, and what that feels like in my body. So that's one of the things that within specifically the last 3 years has been very helpful for me. I mentioned on the, just turn that off. You don't hear that. We'll talk about timers here in a minute, but yoga. So I'm going to share a little bit about yoga. And I know on the last podcast I got kind of weepy sharing about becoming a certified yoga teacher. At this time, I'm not currently teaching yoga. I feel like my life is pretty full, and it is something that turns around back there. Sometimes I think it'd be really cool maybe to have a bunch of knitters together and us all practice yoga at a retreat or something like that, because it is something that is such a gift. And if you don't have a lot of experience with yoga and your impression of yoga is turning yourself into a pretzel or comparing yourself to the moves of the person next to you, I just really want to encourage you and tell you that's not my experience. Not at the studio where I practice. I practice at the Yoga Project here in Fort Worth, and for me, it's really about being aware of sensation, of what I'm feeling, what's going on inside my body. Like I said on the podcast before this cut off, I was sharing that I had eating disorders, and of course I didn't know they were eating disorders. I had ways that I had figured out of coping. Before it was eating disorders, it was pulling my hair out. I thought I was the only one. I thought I'm a weirdo, you know, again, that shame kind of thing. I remember going to the laundromat. We lived in apartments, and I would have to do the laundry. That was one of my chores. And I would have to turn the light switch off a certain amount of times. I don't remember how many that was, but a certain amount of times, and then jump on top of the dryer, or something bad would happen. And I cry now because it's heartbreaking to think about little kids who go through that. And I know that they do. And I want to put light on these things and encourage any adults who have children in their lives that are struggling in that way, or if you're an adult and you've never thought that there was hope, or you thought you were alone or strange or weird, these are not the things that we talk about in a polite society, because this happens. But thankfully, I do have people in my life that I can talk to about these things, and I recognize that those were coping mechanisms that I had as a child. But when I was a child, I thought like a child, and now that I'm an adult, I'm a big grown-up, I've learned other ways to cope. And so that is really what a Hopeful Holler makes. That's my passion, is to share hope of moving forward. So, what else should we say about that? What would you like to know? I really would like to talk to y'all. If you have any questions or comments or discussion topics along this line, please feel free to private message me if it's not something you want to put out in public, or if it is something that you would like to talk about in public, please do feel free to do that. So, what else can I say? I will say that in my hope of having interviews with other artists, I'm hoping that we can touch on this sort of thing. Art seems to be a wonderful gift to many of us to express ourselves. For me, when I knit, all of these thoughts it seems like I can watch them and they just pass so easily. Like, I don't fixate on them and they don't become this long, tragic, sad story, but instead, like when I'm watching clouds and they just dissipate, they just go away. I am a big believer in prayer, of course, meditation. Those are things that give me peace. And when I say peace, I struggle with that sometimes, because I don't ever want to mislead anybody and think that I don't still feel the feelings of the pain and the hard things and the very difficult emotions that come up. So for me, this awareness that yoga has helped me with is feeling those things, like I said, kind of like with knitting, and also feeling it dissipate as I breathe. So my yoga practice at the Yoga Project is based a lot on breath, and so each movement is connected to my breath, so either inhale or exhale. So each movement has a flow of its own. And so when things get really, really hard and my body is really agitated and maybe emotionally I might feel like I just want to stop and I want to leave this room and I can't stay for this and this is too hard, and all of those thoughts that I think, I come back to my breath. And so for me, what that connects to off the mat is an awareness when I'm triggered. And again, it's a practice. It's not that every single conversation or every interaction that I find difficult is this way, but the practice and the awareness that I can choose, that I don't have to make the situation worse by the words that I say. I can tame my tongue. I can decide thoughtfully what I will say and how I will respond, instead of with such great emotion and usually blame or accusation, pointing the finger at someone else. And just take responsibility for how I feel and what I'm thinking and what I'm wanting to share, and then move on. And that sounds so easy. Now, I really wish that it were that easy. But after my own experience, as well as just being in relationship with other wonderful human beings who are honest about their inner life, I know that it's not. And so in yoga, we say namaste. And so the light in me sees and honors the light in you. And don't we need more of that in the world? Light and seeing each other. So I hope it's not getting too heavy. If I have a fear about doing this, and I do, I have several. First of all, speaking in front of people, even though I only have a few people listening, thank you. I really do appreciate that. It is scary because I don't know who's going to listen and what they're going to think and what they might say and all of those things. And I have worked and continue to work for years to lovingly not care. And so by that I mean this is what I'm called to do. So if it's something that's too heavy and it's not on your path, so to speak, then again, namaste. And I hope you find a podcast that suits you exactly where you're at. But if these are some of the topics that you'd like to explore with a friend via video podcasting, I'm here. So anyway, on a fun note, let's end this by talking about Blue October, shall we? I'll get another drink. So I'm going to share with y'all the dibs on my excitement. And again, you may or may not know, I'm on Instagram also as A Hopeful Holler Makes, and I have pictures pretty much from the time we left the house, or before we left the house, until the meet and greet pictures of my last Blue October concert. And so it was super fun because we went to the meet and greet and all of the band, seemed to recognize me. And my husband has been with me to one concert, my very first one, a couple of years ago. And by the time we got to Justin, the lead singer, it made me cry, happy tears. He shared with me what his mother thinks of me. And so I'm going to share a little bit about that. Her name is Miss Roki, and she is a very sweet and adorable, joyful, beautiful, kind-hearted woman who's Justin and Jeremy's mother. So Justin and Jeremy are the drummer. Jeremy is the drummer, and Justin is the lead singer. And she never gave up on her voice, and specifically I'm speaking about Justin. And so I'm not going to share all of their story. The more you explore Blue October, if you're so inclined, you will learn more about them. But ever since I started listening to the music, and I listened to the song Hate Me, and he talks about his mother in that song, I just knew that she was one of those women that I have longed to be for the last 20 years and work towards being in my life, and the type of mother that she is. Yeah. Happy tears again. So this very, very kind woman, through a series of events, asked me if I ever had a prayer request, that she'd love to be my prayer partner. And that is more than I could have asked or imagined. Because again, the level of respect that I have for her and what she's done in her family. And so I called her on it. And she was very gracious and very kind. And if you look at my Instagram, you'll see I have a little video. She sent me a great book about her dog, or about a chicken being like a dog in this little girl's life. And apparently, she explained it's a book that she reads to her granddaughter, Jeremy's daughter. When she visits, she always picks this book out at the library. And so when we were talking one time, she said it reminded her of me, and so she got me that book. And anyway, so all that to say, when we got to the meet and greet, Justin looked into my eyes and he said, "My mom just thinks the world of you." And I just made me feel all warm inside. And then he said, "You cut your hair." So there, that little comment, I have a joke with a dear friend, my friend Connie. I used to cut my hair a lot. Like, I go from short to long to short to long. And then for the last 16 years, it's been very long, like usually right about here. And so in my very first podcast, it was still long, and I just had it on top of my head. And then I'm trying different things, and I'm still trying to figure out what I like right now. And so we had this thing where we always said, if somebody says, "You cut your hair," but they don't say, "I love your haircut," or "You look so cute," or, you know, all those things we like to hear when we get a new haircut. So it was kind of funny. It kind of made me smile and a little sad too. Not really. I like my hair. It was just funny. It made me laugh inside. So then after the meet and greet, the concert, of course, happened. And we were able to be at the very front. So the barricade was right in front of us. And if you've done your homework, there's a song that Blue October has called "Fear." And at the very end, he says, "If you're bitter still, ask him to help you carry on." And so during that part, you know, he was right over by us, and who knows, he could have been looking directly at the girl or guy behind me. Justin, right? He was looking right at me. And of course I wept more happy tears. And so these are just a few of the little random fun things that keep me going. My faith is my foundation. And on top of the faith is this, or with the faith, I haven't figured all that out. I still have so many questions about all of this, but I just know for myself this simple abundance. This is an important thing for me to put life in perspective and to enjoy my life as a gift, and hopefully be a blessing to other people as well. So on that topic, there is a book. Oh, I did bring it. Excuse me. Hold on just one sec. So this is a book. I used to buy copies of this and give it to friends all the time. You know what? I say all the time. Let me be more accurate with my words. I did it several times. My mom specifically was one, and several of my friends. Sorry about that lighting. It is what it is. So, this is the book. It's called Simple Abundance, A Daybook of Comfort and Joy by Sarah Ban Breathnach. I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name right or not. It's N-A-C-H. And so this particular book, it's kind of like a devotional or a meditation book. It's just one that I've enjoyed over the course of, I think I first came upon this in 2007. So 10 years. Oh, yeah, 10 years now. So the very beginning. In a time lacking in truth and certainty and filled with anguish and despair, no woman should be shamefaced in attempting to give back to the world through her work a portion of its lost heart. Louise Bogan. So, I'll let you contemplate that. So that's before the foreword of this book. So every day just has, a couple of pages, something to think about. This was bought from Half Price. It was a gift for somebody. But it's one that I have enjoyed over the years. I'll read the back. How about that? With the grace of Anne Morrow's, so here we go in my bad reading and spelling, Lingberg's gift from the sea and the wisdom of M. Scott Peck's The Road Less Traveled. Yes, The Road Less Traveled. Simple Abundance is a book of 366 evocative essays, one for every day of your year. Written for women who wish to live by their own lights. In the past, a woman's spirituality has been separated from her lifestyle. Can I say that again? As you choose the tastiest vegetables from your garden, search for treasures at a flea market, establish a sacred space in your home for meditation, and follow the rhythm of the seasons in the year. Here, for the first time, the mystical alchemy of style and spirit is celebrated. Every day, your own true path leads you to a happier, more fulfilling, and contented way of life, the state of grace known as simple abundance. Embrace its gentle lessons, savor its sublime common sense, dare to live in passionate truth. And share its extraordinary and exhilarating gift with every woman you encounter. Y'all, this is what I'm doing. Hi. The authentic self is the soul made visible. Wow, I love that so much. I love that so much. So this is Simple Abundance, and I have a copy that I'm reserving for my very first 100 subscribers. So once I hit 100 subscribers, then I want to mail out this copy. So, well, maybe not this one because I've highlighted it and it is drawn in. So I'll get you a brand new copy. How about that? Or maybe I'll find a really nice one at Half Price that doesn't have any writing in it. How about that? Would you like it? I hope so. So again, Simple Abundance. And if you have enjoyed this conversation, please do let me know. I would just love some feedback. Honestly, I do want to grow, and I am open to feedback, positive and negative. I only ask that you're kind, but of course you're kind, or you wouldn't be watching a knitting podcast, probably, right? A making podcast, because makers are generally just pretty darn awesome. So, with that, remember, everything is better with wool and a podcast. And maybe some Blue October music in the background. So, I hope that y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing y'all in episode 7, a very special episode. Don't know what I'll be talking about yet, but 7, it's got to be good, right? I hope you, again, have a great week. Bye-bye.